This is Taurus McBride with Taurus Tech, and I wanted to make a video talking about our indoor heat pump system and the benefits that we think that it's going to be able to offer. So you can see here, basically, we have our outdoor air unit installed indoors instead of being installed outdoors. We think that that gives a lot of benefits, including the fact that it's easier to repair, it's easier to install. Um, there's less refrigerant line because you're not installing the unit up on the roof. So it's a lot of things like that. So I had to put together a little breakdown showing how much cost savings there are going to be when you're utilizing the system. And in order to do that, since we're in New York, I had to break down what the energy costs are. So New York, uh, they kind of divide the energy costs by two things. Number one, the time of year, and then number two, by the time of day. So it's something called a supply charge. Supply charge is how much electricity you use, and it is done by the kilowatt hour. So assume you have a device that uses 1 kilowatt, which is 1,000 watts, and it's done in 1 hour, then you would pay 13 cents for the operation of that unit between the hours of 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. during these months. But if you're using that same device overnight, then you would only pay roughly 2 cents. The problem is, though, there's something called a demand charge. And the demand charge means that no matter how much you're actually consuming, they're going to charge you this amount just because they have to put the pipes in the ground, they have to maintain the equipment. So based upon how much you consume, you're going to get that same amount in terms of your demand charge. And the problem with the demand charge is that it doesn't actually take into account how much you actually use. It takes into account what is the maximum that you would use. So if you have a point in the day, so a lot of buildings, they have a lot of equipment. They start up all the equipment very early in the morning and they have these spikes. And then based on those spikes, they'll say, well, you consumed 100 kilowatts. So we're going to charge you, $16 based on those 100 kilowatts. And this is 24/7. So even though this says 2 cents overnight, it's actually 18 cents. Then during the summer months over here, it goes up to 35 cents per kilowatt during the daytime hours, still 2 cents overnight, and then like 18 cents during the for the demand charge. And then during the later winter months, it goes back down. So same thing applies over here with our gas charges, but instead of going by kilowatts, it goes by something called therms. So a therm is essentially 100,000 BTU, and the cost for therm, I didn't put it on here, but I need to add it. The cost for one therm is about 57 cents right now for the supply charge. Supply charge is around 57 cents. The demand charge is like $1.35 right now. And then the rate adjustment, they call it a rate adjustment because Con Edison is providing power, but there's also, they don't generate the power, they just provide it. There are other companies that provide power, and when there are changes and fluctuations in the market, they do something called a rate adjustment. So your rate adjustment can be like, another 50 cents per therm. Then you have taxes and other, fees and things like that. So what we're doing here is we're saying that if we have a 1 ton indoor heat pump, that that's going to cost $6 if you run it all day at full capacity, versus if you have a boiler, steam or hot water, that's going to be about $15 per day per 1 ton. And then if you have a furnace, it's going to be about $23. And the reason why the furnace is more expensive is because it's heating the air, which is a poor heat exchange medium compared to water. So water is a little bit more efficient, but you can still see it's more expensive than if you have indoor heat pump, for example. So over here, this is a cost comparison showing we have indoor heat pumps, and we're saying if you run it day and night, year round, it's going to cost about 4,400 per year. These are other heat pumps. This is PTACs. So PTACs are big air conditioning systems. The reason why I made this was because somebody told me that there was a building that was considering installing a bunch of PTACs with electric heaters. So this is showing uh, the cost to operate PTACs, a PTAC with an electric heating strip, and then this is AC with a hot water system, and this is an AC with a furnace system. And then this is saying that if you have another heat pump, it's going to cost you 24% more. If you have the PTAX with the electric strips, it's 33% more. If you have the boiler and AC, it's 14% more. And then if you have the furnace and AC, it's 37% more. Now, with this boiler cost, there's something called, well, it's basically talking about the efficiency of the boiler. When you have boilers, be it steam or hot water, you're losing heat all over the place. So the savings with indoor heat pump is actually going to be a lot higher than this. I just wanted to have a standard baseline of comparison. Next, this is the annual cost savings for a 100-ton system. So if we have 100 indoor heat pumps operating, 24/7 year round, which you never would, it would cost this amount. Then if you had the other heat pumps, PTAX with electric heat, AC with boiler, AC with furnace. And this is showing the annual cost savings. So versus other heat pumps, we're saving 137,000 per year. Um, PTAX 221,000, boiler and AC 71,000, and then furnace 258,000. Then it's showing the 10-year savings. And then the big thing, since we deal with a lot of buildings, is the return on investment. If you have one of those other systems and you switch and put in indoor heat pumps, how long is it going to take for you to return your investment or make your money back based on the cost savings? So if you have other heat pumps, it's 6.5 years. If you have the PTAX with heat strips, it's 4 years. If you have the boiler system, it's 12.5 years. And if you have the furnace system, it's 3.5 years. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when you have boilers, they're very, very inefficient. And one of the things that we did not take into account here is you have to pay for electricity of operating those boilers as well. So you have the boiler costs, you have your fans, you could have pumps, you have all these different things. So the return on investment versus a boiler system would actually be much lower than this. We just have to calculate it up the right way so nobody accuses us of fudging the numbers. So this Taurus with Taurus Tech and indoor heat pump. So I'm gonna make some more videos explaining this type of stuff because whether or not you choose indoor heat pump, the big thing is this. There are laws in place that are going to force everybody to install heat pumps regardless. So you want to be cost conscious and understand, how to get the best return on your investment. And whether or not you choose indoor heat pump, that's kind of the goal of this is to educate the general population so that everybody is making the right decisions for themselves.